Thank you. Yes, I am taking control. Thank you, MK Shai. MK Lippman had something quick to say, probably about what his party did.
Just 5 seconds, because a statement was made that no other party has in their platform. This is our platform book, 273 pages, 26 chapters. Page 31, clearly the plan dismantling monopolies. So let's make sure that we all speak truth, and it's right over here in the platform, a major part of our efforts as well.
Dear Dov, did you break up a single monopoly?
All right. Last one, Mr. Ambassador Oren, please. Yes.
We're in Israel.
One sentence.
What's the fun of
Yeah, just be quick.
Yisrael Beiteinu's agricultural minister broke up the dairy products monopoly, so let's keep facts where they are.
Okay. Now, merits. I'll give you like an extra 30 seconds because this got out of hand.
You know, it's interesting, this debate, and Michael, I must say, you know, you said this election is not about right and left. If you think that right and left in Israel are only the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, then you're right. But it's much deeper than that. And what we see in the outgoing Netanyahu-led coalition are 5 shades of gray of a right-wing economical point of view. And this debate, I'm sorry, I don't know whether the prices, the food prices went down in 2.6 or 2.7%, but we all know how the Israeli economy looks like, and more than that, how all of us are struggling in one way or another, some of us much more. And it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that in the US, when you're there, and people are making much more money, everything is cheaper. That doesn't make any sense. You know, at the social protest of 2011, we said, "Zo lo ta'ut, zo mediniyut." It is not a mistake, it is a policy. That's exactly the problem. What Israel needs is a new economical deal, a new deal, to change the whole way the economical thinking of Israel works. By the way, since Mr. Netanyahu was the Minister of Finance in 2003 and adopted Republican-style ideas that wrecked the Israeli welfare state. Now, I'm very close to many of the ideas that Nachman raised, that the Zionist Union raised. My only problem is, what I fear is that in 2, 3, or 4 years, when we'll be here next, Nachman will be also here to defend the outgoing coalition that all of the parties here are going to be part of. What we need is a real change in Israel. We need another prime minister, but we need a different coalition. That's why you have to vote for merits for a true change. Thank you.
Thank you. You didn't even need the extra time. So my next question, since you already brought up comparing Netanyahu to a Republican, I think that everyone at this table, or almost everyone at this table, is somewhat concerned about the deal that the world powers are working on with Iran. I think that there's a almost consensus on right and left that it's not what Israel would ideally want. On the other hand, there's criticism that the way Netanyahu has responded to this deal that's being written is turning Israel into a partisan issue in the US. And so I would like the candidates here to sort of address both sides of it. First of all, how Israel should be working on Iran, and also how Israel should be dealing with its greatest ally, America, which is working on something that's at least against the current government's views on Iran. And I think that we'll start with Mr. Begin. We'll start in the middle and work our way outward.
You didn't understand the question.
Okay.
Is it a question?
It's a question. The question is this.
Please turn to us, because through the microphone, through the loudspeakers, it's very difficult.
Okay. How should Israel be responding to the deal that the world powers are making with Iran? And has Israel's current response to it, is it damaging the US-Israel relationship? How should we be dealing with the US-Israel relationship in relation to Iran? Do you want to start with someone else? אתה מתחיל, שאלה לכולם.
This is a country of miracles, and this is a country of miracles, and one of them took place about 2 months ago or 6 weeks ago. Until that time, I heard from all corners of the political arena that concerning the Iranian threat, Prime Minister Netanyahu inflates the issue, exaggerates, threatens without real basis. And only about 2 months ago, when the issue of his invitation by Speaker of the House, John Boehner, to Washington, suddenly you hear a consensus. Yes, we all agree the threat is real. The only issue is should or shouldn't he go to Washington. I think it's one of the nicest results of a campaign. Usually political campaigns spoil things. And here, with this miracle, now Mr. Netanyahu created a consensus on the threat in Israel. Thank God for that. And thank Mr. Netanyahu for that. I saw the speech on TV, and I would note 1 minute, or maybe it took 2 minutes. Mr. Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu, in his speech included some issues that are motherhood and apple pie, everyone agrees to, and he received applause, and even standing applause. So that's not the real test. When one of the tests came is when he presented 3 different conditions, or rather preconditions, to the signing of agreement between the 6, I don't know, this 5 plus 1 is ancient, you don't need it. The 6 and it goes back to 1946 or 7. And Iran would be that they stop their subversion in the world, that they should stop their attempts to dominate the Middle East, and the last one, that they should stop, of course, calling for the destruction of the State of Israel. Now,
thank you.
It would have been very nice if Congress applauded with standing ovation following the presentation of the 3 arguments. No, you remember it. After each one taking issue with the administration, the whole Congress almost rose to their feet, and was a great power to that standing ovation. And I think by that, Prime Minister Netanyahu demonstrated that he has been a great national asset for the State of Israel.
Okay, your time is up.
With the important influence that he has in the American Congress.
Thank you. I'm going to let MK Shaked go next just because she has to leave. So you just give your answer. You have 2 minutes, and then we'll go to the regular order of things.
Okay, so first of all, Bennett, I think, did a tremendous job in the U.S. He went there mainly to interview in the U.S. media and to support the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's step by going to the Congress and say what he has to say. I think that the importance of this act was to explain the world that the agreement is bad. Now everyone knows in the world that the agreement is bad. It's very important also to get legitimation in the future. So right now I think everyone knows that the agreement is bad, and it's very important thing that the Prime Minister did. I just want to add something that Mr. Begin said before, to vote to the Likud. I think we should, the white wing camp in Israel need to vote to the Jewish home, because only a big Jewish home will prevent unity government. Otherwise, we will all sit, my friends and I will sit in the opposition, and there will be a left-wing party. The Jewish home will recommend on Netanyahu for the when we are going together to the president, and we will be a one unified bloc of the right wing. But if the Jewish home will not be big enough, then the danger of unified government is really, really dangerous.
Okay. Thank you both for your response on Iran and your lesson in civics. Next, we will have Ambassador Oren.
Needless to say, I have a lot to say about this. Anybody who participates for nearly 5 years in the most intimate discussions with the United States over the Iranian nuclear program cannot come away from those discussions with any other conclusion that the Iranian nuclear program presents not one but several existential threats to the state of Israel. So there's no difference. I don't think I'd probably speak for the entire table here. There's no difference between right and left on this as well. The Iranian nuclear threat is a multiple existential threat to the state of Israel. The question is, how do you address it? How do you address it? And it's certainly incumbent on any Israeli leader to do his or her utmost to prevent that from happening. But it's also incumbent on every Israeli leader to do his or her utmost to preserve bipartisan support in the United States of America, which is a paramount Israeli strategic interest. There's no substitute for the United States as our essential ally. There's no substitute for Israel as an ally of the United States as well, but no substitute. And when dealing and thinking strategically in our region, we have to think not only that we provide ourselves with a military Iron Dome, and I was privileged to bring the support for Iron Dome, nearly $1 billion, we have to think about a diplomatic Iron Dome. If chas v'chalila, we have to go to war against Hezbollah tomorrow, and we know that we cannot take out the 100,000 rockets of Hezbollah from the air, that we're going to have to send our army into Lebanon, and it's going to be a long and difficult war, who's going to back us? Who's going to protect us in the UN? Who's going to send us vital supplies of ammunition? Last summer, we didn't get them. We didn't get them. So the question is whether this particular speech at that time, and by the way, he could have given the speech next week, and it still would have been before the deadline for the nuclear talks, but nobody would have conflated it in the United States with Israeli elections, and we could have created the impression this had nothing to do with elections, that this is truly an existential threat. That was a problem, was with the impression created. And we don't know whether it achieved the goal, because there was a tremendous gulf between Democrats in Congress and the president. Now we see the Democrats rallying around the president. Is that good for Israel? That we insinuated ourselves in that way. No difference about the issue, difference about the timing and the place. That is it. At the end of the day, we are still going to be left with a terrible threat. It's a bad deal on Iran, and we have to think about it strategically and smartly, how we do this together with the United States, not in opposition to part of the United States.
Thank you. Next, we'll have MK Shai from Zionist Union.
Before you speak, let me just introduce Uri Bank, who has replaced Ayelet Shaked, who had to leave.
Actually, there's no replacement to Ayelet Shaked, but Uri is a fine guy. And now no women on the panel, which is
I'm here, I'm representing.
You are, no, you are not included on the panel.
True, true.
Love. Anyhow, Michael, you are ready to the right coalition, I think. I mean, what's wrong in Ben is, yeah, because you just...
They are ready.
Everyone's decided which coalition we're
their coalition, right?
Okay, I don't know why to say that, because in what I've just heard from Michael is the best description of how damaging the speech was in, listen to me, please, okay? I said before, and I keep saying, that we share the same concern about nuclear Iran. The same concern, and we've been doing in any way we could, including my role in the past Knesset was to represent the Knesset in the European Council and so on and so forth. Everywhere we went, we carried the same message. But I think that to go to Washington and to challenge the President of the United States from the White House, from the Congress to the White House, how long it is, 1 mile or whatever, okay? And to get into the Democrats and Republican discussions and fighting, inner fighting about many issues. and to embarrass the American Jewish community, challenging their loyalty. Guys,
Let's maintain
like
civility. You wouldn't like it if people booed you.
I like it. And finally, AIPAC, which is playing such an important role in the American political scenery, and also to create a situation which their job will be much harder now than it was before. The message was the right one. But as I said before, you're not going to Washington and carrying such an anti-presidential message from the Congress. No, you never do it, because there is always tomorrow. Tomorrow and the day after. We need America in so many international fora. We need them in the Israeli